All right, everybody, here we go. Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and we're looking at ASTS. Yes. AST SpaceMobile. This is, again, the company that has been trending on Reddit for, I don't know, like 8 months or whatever. Satellite telecom company, direct to cellular, whatever the heck. We had news of AT&T extending the contract. We had news of Verizon coming in with a $100 million investment. Company right now closed at just about 22 and a half, down 60 cents, 2.6% on the day. After hours now dropping roughly 3 points down to about 19 and a half, down 13% on news of an offering here. AST SpaceMobile announces proposed private offering of $400 million of convertible senior notes due 2032. Now remember, when all of this started, the company was worth 1/10 of this value, which was roughly about 600 million in change. And of course, since y'all took it to the moon before they actually did anything, in my opinion anyway, uh, they're now able to offer 400 million, which is essentially two-thirds the value of their original business before it got trending on Reddit. But hey, listen, you guys have your reasons for buying it, and obviously it went up, even though it's been down, but more power to you. 400 million convertible senior notes due 2032. So obviously that is a big chunk of change. Markets drop down usually when stock drops down, excuse me, when new offerings are made. We've seen that time and time again. So in my opinion, I kind of saw this coming, which is why I kind of initially said that I still felt, in my opinion, there wasn't much of a sense of urgency. And I know people are going to say, wow, this guy's still saying that. He's crazy. You know, he said that at whatever, 2.5, stock went up to 40 or whatever. And again, in my defense, I did initially look at the stock. I think it was like October of 2023. And they were laying out the timeline. And at the time, I may have said, yeah, they're saying in 6 months they may launch some satellites. In 6 months, you can come back to the stock, and if you want, you can buy it then. That was my initial analysis, right? I did the update right before the earnings, and I said, I didn't realize that I first looked at it, but I said, in my opinion, I don't see much urgency. And of course, they ended up coming out with the news. A lot of catalysts kept hitting. All of these other analysts kept upping their price target before, in my opinion, they really deserved to, because they were just riding the wave. And obviously the stock exploded, but now we're coming back down. We're coming back down to earth. So you may still have time. Actually, see, in my eyes, I want to say I know you still have time, but I can't say it like that because nothing is set in stone in this market. We know that. We can see a pullback here today now on the offering news, and then Friday they can get a new contract and the stock could shoot back up, right? So anything can happen. But Midland, Texas company, yep, okay. Company plans to use portion of net proceeds to pay for capped calls, remainder for working capital or other purposes, including strategic transactions. Also, company says that as of last month, it had cash and restricted cash of approximately 567.5 million versus 81.1 million in 2023, and expects for 3 months total operating expenses of 58.3 to 62.3 million. So roughly 60 million. Shares closed down, giving the company about 6.5 billion market cap. Can you imagine? On no revenue. 6.5 billion market cap. Jeff Bezos' rocket firm Blue Origin inked multi-launch deal with ASTS to deploy company's direct-to-cellular satellites, quote, over a multi-year period. That's one of the things I highlighted in previous updates as well. You have to listen, pay attention to not only the quantity, right? Oh, are we launching 6 satellites for whatever, $200 million? You have to also look at the timeline that is laid out, right? Just like something like LAC. We might like it in theory, it might be trending, it might stay hot for the next couple of years, but they're technically not going to begin mining lithium until 2027. So that's why I was kind of looking at ASTS through the lens I was looking at it through, because if you're telling me it's still going to take 2.5 years before they're really up and running and everyone's coming to them to do business with them, then that going into that kind of cycle is when you're going to have urgency, right? So that's why I was kind of saying that there may be no urgency. And technically, the stock's just been kind of hanging out for the last several months in this downward consolidating channel. And now we have news again of an offering. But let's check some trend lines here real quick so you can see that we were kind of hanging out in this downward channel here for the most part, couple of breakouts. And now with the stock, again, was climbing up here, hit 23 3/4 today. And now you can see we dropped down. Now we're here at 1965. So we're technically back inside of that downward channel. Now, realistically, in my opinion, stock should pull back to like $5. But again, this is the power of social media and the power of Reddit. So everyone still talks about it, and they still try to tell people, oh, it's awesome. It doesn't matter what price it is, 30, 38, 41, doesn't matter, buy it. And that consistent volume, even though it's been slightly trailing off, that consistent volume coming in is, in my opinion, what's keeping the stock really from, like 20 to 25. It's just kind of hanging out, bouncing around in that range. But you can see the big volume comes in on that last break up higher, and then you can literally see it dwindling down over the months, which means, of course, all of the people who piled in here, the Johnny-come-latelys, are still hanging on, and now they're looking for blood because now they're down 33%, 40% in change, right? So, of course, over the long term, this one still can be very good. I know everyone just has high hopes for it based on what they bring to the table, and the growth that they can see. And again, I said I can see it too, right? But even when we were doing updates along the way here on this rise, I was saying, in my eyes, this is way too much, way too quick, and you got to wait for this thing to come back down to earth. And then if you want, you can step in, you can start to build a position. Because then from that point, if they do start growing, then it's awesome because, you got into a decent stock and you bought in at a fair cost, in my opinion. And if it happens to drop even lower, then of course you can add to the position over time as well. Steam friend, my apologies. So, even looking at stock charts here, you can see the tightening of the Bollinger Bands. Look at how tight these Bollinger Bands were getting. And then you can see technically slight rejection off of the 50-day. And now the stock dropped to 1932 right now. So we're approaching this 200-day moving average here on the daily of a couple of cents over $18. So in my opinion, that really should be the next stop. RSI was middle of the road at 49.5 roughly. Looked like the MACD actually just crossed to the upside, and now of course you have a 400 million offering, so that's going to bring down the stock. We have 50-day moving average on the weekly at 1593. In my opinion, that's where the stock should go. Even down here, the 200-day 935, that's realistically where the stock should go, because of course fundamentals do play a factor. And people always say, oh, that's dinosaur analysis. No one cares about the numbers. It's all about the technicals. Until this same group of people misses out on a great call that we made on this channel, right? When we look at something like Honest, HNST, at $2.50, $3 a share saying we like it, nobody cares. Then when the stock breaks out and explodes up to $8, what happens? Johnny-come-latelys come out of left field, they come out of the woodwork, and they start leaving comments, oh, this one's overvalued, this one needs to come back down. First of all, no it doesn't. Second of all, you missed the boat. Third of all, you're only mentioning the fundamentals now because you missed it and now you want to buy it. That's all it comes down to. We saw the same thing. I saw people say the same thing to me about Rolls-Royce when it was climbing up to $4 or $5. Oh yeah, it's really been raging. It's got to come back down. I'm going to wait for a big pullback. What big pullback? It was undervalued to begin with. You shouldn't get a pullback, and you already missed the boat. You look at something like SoundHound, same thing, right? We spoke about it, $1.60, $2.80, $4.50. Then all of a sudden it starts running up to $10, $12, $20. What does everyone say? Oh, it's overvalued now. Look at the fundamentals. This company isn't worth this much money. It's got to come back down. So this is what I mean, right? Everyone tries to push this nonsense, but the difference is we're investing more off of the actual numbers and the fundamental analysis itself. Meaning that when one of our stocks has a breakup like this, it is deserved, it is justified, and 9 times out of 10, it'll most likely hold its value and then continue up and on over even more time because it's fundamentally solid. So again, something like ASTS, you can say whatever you want. You go back last quarter, company brought in $1 million. Company brought in $1 million. So that's why this company is not worth $6.5 billion. In my opinion, this company is not worth $1.5 billion. But again, what you're seeing here is the power of Reddit. Even now as we're watching it and the news is hitting, I can guarantee people are sitting here saying, what, ASTS is sub 20? I'm buying, right? In my opinion, no way. In my opinion, no way. Half price. Half price I would look for. But again, what we believe should happen, or what we think is common sense, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always come to fruition. So, even if you're looking at this and you're saying, yeah, it might not come back down to single digits, but if it drops to like 17, 16, I'm going to start buying. I can appreciate where you're coming from, but again, technically in the numbers, it is still massively overvalued in my opinion. And also, I just want to mention again, not to scare anyone, but, we saw the DXY, the dollar, dropping, and we saw markets continuing to climb even when we kind of got mixed economic data being reported to us over the last couple of years. And I've been saying that time and time and time again. And of course, we know that Trump is usually, last administration, he was very good for the markets. And yeah, that was my argument again when we were running up under Joe Biden, because if we don't necessarily have the economics to back it up, but we just ran up 40, 50% just over the last 3 to 4 years, then even with good news coming out, it may be inevitable that markets need to drop and need to correct. Because technically, in theory, a stronger dollar, which we've been seeing basically since elections, I mean, look at that. Going into October, we start to climb. And then look, that was election day, right? November 6th? No, November 5th? I don't remember. But as you can see, in general, from the beginning of November, we are up. Once we knew it was Trump, the dollar began to climb and got significantly stronger. And in theory, again, technically, when the dollar goes up, stocks could go down. So that's why something like ASTS, the reason I look at it the way I do is because, of course, it could be viewed as overvalued in the numbers. You can have potential offerings like this that can drop the stock down in value. But most importantly, in my opinion, if you were to buy right now at 19 1/3 and this market starts dropping and comes back down to earth over the next 6 to 12 months, you may be left holding the bag at 19 1/3, and you may turn around and all of a sudden the stock's sitting at like 7 and change. And now it's going to take another several months for the stock to slowly start to gain traction and momentum again and try to get itself trending again. And also, you're going to need at least 2 to 3 decent stories and headlines to come in my opinion, as catalysts to force it back up to double in value back to just what you just paid for it a year and a half, 2 years prior. You understand my point? So that's why, again, I know people tried to jump down my throat. Oh, you don't see the big picture. You're bashing the company. No, you're missing the big point. You're not understanding. Because I know what could potentially be on the horizon. And I understand the risks involved overall when investing into the market. And just because you like something, or the people on Reddit are having it trending, or, space bra, none of that matters. If you buy in here at 19 and this market starts to pull back, this stock can easily come back down to here, $5 and change. That is my personal main concern when people talk about companies like this. So, I just want to put it out there. But, yeah, I mean, the channel stocks by the numbers, and according to the numbers, this company is worth nowhere near $6 billion, even whatever, $5.5 billion if we chunk it down now on the offering news. No way. So that's why it went up like this. It flattened out. Now it should technically come down like that. But, we'll see what happens. But they technically, made that offering news. And of course, as you see, the stock dropping right now pretty bigly, down about 14.5% as we speak. And it came down to exactly $19 and had a small bounce. So got to keep an eye on it, see how low it goes, and see if it stays in this channel as well. If we extend, that was from the bottom of that candle. So if we extend, right, if we immediately drop down but stay in the channel, you can see maybe low 17s. So I would say, in my opinion, you can see also that's right where it stopped back at tail end of July before it took the next leg higher, retested that area, and then popped even higher, right? So 17, around 17, in my opinion, that's kind of the level to watch. And if it does approach there, obviously you want it to try to bounce off these fib levels. If it does come down to this bottom channel trend line, you want to see a bounce up, obviously. And if it happens to break that, yeah, this could easily drop to like 14, 12, no problem. But I know everyone's hyped about it. So again, I wish you all the absolute best. In my opinion, on this drop again at 19 1/3, would I be a buyer? Personally, in my opinion, no. No, I wouldn't. Even if I miss this one, you know, it is what it is. I have to stand by my analysis, and just because it's trending and people might give me some crap for betting against it, you know, I'll take it on the chin and I'll keep moving. Because, in my opinion, it is strictly Reddit and social media that is helping to prove you right and me wrong. And my overall success rate, I believe, is probably somewhere between 80 and 90% since starting the channel. So that's why I say if I miss this one, you know, I'm fine with it, because probably the next 8 or 9 out of 10, I'm going to get right anyway. So doesn't matter. But that was the news with ASTS. And I'm going to leave it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop it down in the comment section. I'm usually pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.